Imagine opening your banking app and not feeling a knot in your stomach. No mental math, no quiet panic, no wondering if one small purchase will mess up the rest of your month. Just calm. There's a moment in your financial life when that shift happens. And surprisingly, it doesn't require becoming a millionaire. It doesn't even require 6 figures. There's a much smaller number that quietly transforms how you think, how you work, and how you make decisions. For many people, that number sits somewhere around $20,000. And once you reach it, money stops feeling like a constant threat and starts becoming a tool. I spend a lot of time studying how people actually build financial stability. Not the fantasy version, not the overnight success stories, but the real psychological and practical turning points. And what I've noticed is this: wealth isn't just built through income or investing knowledge, it's built through crossing certain invisible lines. The first big one isn't $1 million, it's the point where you finally have breathing room. When most people picture financial success, they imagine huge salaries, luxury homes, or people who never had to worry about money in the first place. But in reality, progress with money doesn't feel like a straight line. It feels more like levels in a game. Each level unlocks a new way of thinking and a new set of options. One of the earliest levels, and one of the most powerful, happens when you build a solid cushion. For many people, that cushion ends up around $20,000 in savings and investments combined. Before that point, life feels reactive. After that point, life starts to feel intentional. Think about starting a fire. At first, you're struggling to get the spark going. You're gathering sticks, blowing gently, protecting it from the wind. It's slow and frustrating, and it feels like it might never catch. But once the flame grows strong enough, everything changes. Now the fire sustains itself. It grows faster. It becomes easier to maintain. That first $20,000 is like getting that fire going. Before it, every step forward feels fragile. After it, momentum starts to build. The most important change isn't the money itself. It's what happens in your head. When you don't have savings, your brain is constantly scanning for danger. What if I lose my job? What if something breaks? What if I can't pay this bill? Every decision becomes urgent. Every expense feels heavy. You take jobs you don't love because you can't risk being without income. You tolerate bad situations because leaving feels too dangerous. You think short-term because you have to. This isn't about discipline, it's about survival. But once you build a meaningful buffer, the pressure eases. You stop asking, how do I make it to next month? And start asking, how do I move forward from here? That shift alone changes everything. At the beginning, progress feels painfully slow. Saving your first few thousand can take months. Getting to 5 figures can take years. It requires consistency, saying no, and building habits that don't come naturally at first. But once you reach that first major milestone, something interesting happens. Your money starts participating. Instead of every dollar coming only from your effort, some of it begins growing quietly in the background. Even modest returns start to matter more when there's a larger base. You're still saving, you're still working, but now you're not the only one doing the heavy lifting, and that's when the timeline starts to change. Here's the part people don't talk about enough. If you've managed to build $20,000 from scratch, you didn't just accumulate money, you built a new version of yourself. You learned to track where your money goes, delay impulses, stick to a plan, stay consistent over long stretches of time. That process changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is bad with money. You start seeing yourself as someone who can build and protect something. And once that belief locks in, your future decisions start aligning with it. Before you have a financial cushion, unexpected expenses feel like disasters. A repair, a medical bill, a broken laptop. Each one can knock you off balance. But when you have savings behind you, those same events feel different. Still annoying, but manageable. They don't control your life anymore. Even more important, you begin to notice opportunities you used to ignore. A course that could improve your career, a chance to relocate for a better job, time to search for something better instead of grabbing the first offer. Money creates space, and space creates choice. This is where the shift becomes powerful. When you live paycheck to paycheck, your job has all the leverage. You can't take risks. You can't walk away. You can't push back. But when you have a solid financial buffer, your posture changes. You speak up more, you negotiate more confidently, you consider better opportunities, you don't have to quit your job. Just knowing that you could survive for a while without it changes how you show up every day, and that confidence often leads to better outcomes on its own. Another unexpected shift happens around this point. You stop obsessing over tiny purchases. The small daily decisions matter, but they're not what shapes your long-term future. The big choices do: where you live, what you drive, how much you save, where you invest your time and energy. You begin to focus less on saving a few coins and more on making smarter long-term decisions. That's when your financial strategy starts to mature. There's one trap a lot of people fall into. They reach that first big milestone and immediately celebrate by spending a huge chunk of it. A new car, a luxury trip, a major upgrade they've been postponing. And while it feels deserved, it quietly resets the progress. That first foundation isn't the finish line. It's the base layer everything else builds on. Protecting it matters. Once you've built that cushion, you start seeing purchases in a new way. Instead of asking, "Can I afford the payment?" you ask, "What am I trading away?" Time, flexibility, future growth. It doesn't mean you stop enjoying life. It just means you make choices more intentionally. And strangely, when you start thinking like that, you often realize you don't actually want as much as you thought you did. $20,000 won't make you rich, but it can change how you think, how you work, and how you move through the world. It can turn fear into stability, pressure into options, reaction into strategy. It's the point where you stop just trying to stay afloat and start learning how to move forward. And the sooner you build that base, the sooner everything else starts getting easier. Start where you are. Stay consistent, because the version of you a few years from now will be incredibly grateful you did.